That explains the clean shavenness that you have going right now. Clean-ish.
Hey, guess what, guys? Well, according to this, we're live. At least I think so. I don't know. Who are you boxing, Don?
That's my terrible, shitty white man dance moves.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Is that patented? Is that copyrighted?
I have to ask Jean-Claude Van Damme if they are or not. I have to go back to Black Widow moves. I know.
Mike, where are you off to?
We'll see.
This is gonna be good.
Are you off to the void at the end of time?
He's going back to Lamentus.
He's gonna go beat the smoke monster.
Smoke monster. That's lost.
I know, but you didn't get those vibes today. I should have those vibes today.
Well, welcome to Loki's Midweek Mischief. This is the penultimate episode, which for those of you out there who left your thesaurus at home, well, you can just grab it because you're probably at home. That means it's the second to last episode of these weekly roundtables celebrating, analyzing Loki on Disney Plus, the Marvel series. So welcome, everyone. As always, we're going to kick things off with a kind of a spoiler-free overview, thoughts of what people thought of the show, and then we're going to get into spoilers. Okay, what's going on?
You're already spoiling stuff over there.
Slow down. Don't look at the comments.
Already clicking the spoiler button.
Yeah.
What's going on? Captain Easter egg over there.
Don't listen to Will.
I'm just going to put it up here, guys.
Oh! Hey, aneurysm is right, yeah.
I didn't notice that right away. I only noticed it once I was watching my Screen Crush Easter egg recap, and I have to watch this. I have to watch this episode again because, you know, yes, Thanos' copter from Spidey Super Stories number 39. When they pan down underneath, you see
Was that a little Thor?
It was little Thor frog, because Walt Simonson, and he was in a glass jar that says T365, and that was Thor 365 is when that Thor version debuted.
Very cool.
And Kid Loki is drinking green Ecto Cooler High C juice box.
They just use this as an excuse to throw everything in here. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, Don, why don't you give us the synopsis of episode 5, Journey into Mystery, which itself is sort of a Marvel Easter egg. Yeah,
definitely for itself. No, our episode, this penultimate episode, to keep using the thesaurus term today, takes us to the void. It's where everyone who's ever been pruned ends up. They either survive in this end of time location, or they are gobbled up by Eliath, the smoke monster of this particular realm of places. What is in this realm beyond the smoke monster and the ruins of Easter Egg City, and what lies behind it, and who is in force of this, and all of that may actually come to pass in this episode, because everyone who's been pruned last episode has ended up here, including Shaloki. Well, no, Shaloki still begins this episode in the land of the TVA living, but Loki, our guy Mobius, and a few other folks that we run into happen to inhabit this area. And as we learn here, we've reached full level multi-Loki verse, because we have every incarnation possible of what we can have, of what we've been able to see about what Lokis are around, and they all come together to kind of figure out, well, what the heck can we do to find the end of the void, as if that's not a oxymoron in itself. Joining the soiree to do so is Shaloki, who is at odds with Ravana and what the TVA can do beyond whatever the heck the void is, because there's answers to be found and answers to be sought because of all of the truth coming out that everyone's a variant, and maybe this whole thing has a puppeteer and a means to an end, despite everything being called void and an ending level thing. So good episode. This is definitely the Evel Knievel ramp into what looks to be a pretty hot finale. So everything's thrown out there. We don't have instead of our glowing orb of evil in the sky that we all complain about at the end of a Marvel movie, we get a smoky orb in the sky, but it still kind of feels the same. So there's that, and we'll see how the episode goes with everyone else's reactions.
Very well done, sir.
Always.
And I should probably just take a moment to introduce who the hell we all are, because I forgot that. It's been a long day. But I am Ian Simmons of Kicking the Seat, Don Shanahan of 25 Years Later, and the Cinephile Hissy Fit podcast, who a certain co-host may be hanging out with us here in the chat, causing trouble already. Mike Crowley of You'll Probably Agree, and David Fowley of Keeping It Real. Oh, sorry, Don, I forgot to mention Every Movie Has a Lesson, the site that started it all.
Because it does.
For you, yes. And are you going to do a spin-off of Every TV Show Has a Lesson?
I am not trying to review TV. I don't watch enough TV. I'm a cord cutter myself, so I don't have enough TV to watch. I'd be reviewing old Me TV episodes of like Barney Rubble or something. Or Barney Pfeiffer or something. I don't know.
I was a cord cutter once myself, but then they kicked me out of the hospital because you got to have a license to do that.
That's yeah. No, honestly, the only TV I watch is Me TV FM or Me TV Channel 23. So,
oh wow,
it depends if you're a cord cutter in the labor and delivery or retirement community, or that could be really tricky.
Yeah, this is the same Ian Simmons who suggested a Google search term for all of us this week that really cuts to the core.
Yep.
Yes.
Let's not bring that into the show today.
No. Well, it's already too late. But okay, so Loki, let's go around and get our reactions. Don, you synopsized it, and you said it was a pretty good episode. Yeah. You've been cautiously enthusiastic, I think, about this series. You agree that a couple weeks ago we were dealing with some pretty serious filler. But what do you make of where we're going now? And are you in sort of the same place that I usually am at the second to last episode, which is how the hell are they going to wrap all of this up without a 6-hour finale?
Yeah, no, this was the acceleration, and like I said, the Evel Knievel ramp I was hoping was coming. So I was always invested. I wanted to know what was going on. Love the weirdness, love the style of the show. That has not dissipated, and Tom Hiddleston keeps selling this as it goes. I do wish we had more Owen Wilson as we go here. Obviously, they have a nice moment and some good things here, but I feel like, I mean, the show is called Loki. It's not called Mobius and Loki. So, and the focus being on Loki and Loki has been fine for me, and that relationship has grown on me despite the filler that it felt like it was going for a while back here. So this was the ramp up. We're like, all right, here we go, and I needed a here we go pull start lawnmower to get this going for me to be like, okay, no matter how many hours they got, this is just wandering, but we're there and I'm in.
Cool. Mike, how about you?
I never really felt like the show quite wandered. I think the third episode was sort of like some breathing room we needed. I liked how this episode didn't do what WandaVision did, where like the second to last episode, they just tell you everything. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, what now? I don't know. Have them shoot lasers at each other, And here it's we're not revealed everything. I think there was a little too much build up to taking down the big dragon boss fight in the end. But aside from that, you really do get a great sense of enthusiasm. I have this little hope that Disney can pull off this multiverse thing. A little hope of it.
That's the hard part for me.
It looks like they're kind of weaving into the story very slowly. The way you see all the Lokis working together, it's like the thing is they don't take all their toys and pour it out the toy box and go, "Hey, let's Zack Snyder it. Let's shove everything in it together."
That's true.
Yeah, what they do is they slowly take their time because what's important is that we care about the story. Whatever action scenes are, those are cool, but really audiences don't remember the action scenes as much as the actions of the characters.
Yeah.
And with Loki's sort of redemptive arc now, I mean, it's like, it's the same thing, but at the same time, it kind of works because it knows the same thing and it's saying it's the same thing. It's like basically, we are destined to fail. We are destined to not make it towards the end. It's like, well, I'm going to shift that. So it's basically saying we know this character dies all the time, but we're exploring that, and we're exploring what happens with characters and they die overall and where they go. And it's interesting to see how this is going to develop, not even past the final episode, but towards whatever else they're developing. So for me, it was definitely a solid conclusion. I'm glad they didn't just, slip a note underneath and just give us all of the answers.
Well, there's still one more week to go.
Yeah, right. And that one will probably give us the answers, which I'm fine with. At least then it's not just, a big epic conclusion fight, which is like kind of dull,
Yeah. David.
I really enjoyed this episode. I was having a blast. And I think that's due to MVP Richard E. Grant. I mean, this guy, when you saw him in the Stinger in the classic Loki outfit, I was like, I cannot wait for this. Because that, look, and Don can kind of speak to this. I recently went to the Museum of Science Industry, and you're up front, up close at the Marvel exhibit, seeing these costumes. And I took my daughter there, and I said, I could see how wearing a costume like this will totally put you in character. And I think taking that classic Loki outfit, I mean, it's a spot on casting.
Oh yeah.
But seeing Richard E. Grant just totally go for it. I mean, yeah. As soon as I saw him in the Stinger, I was like, I want that. I want more of it. And even after this episode, I'm like, all right, I want a comic with just these 4 Lokis and get the likeness and everything. The boastful Loki, the kid Loki, the alligator Loki, everything. It was so great. And Mike's right. Just the best part of this episode is those character moments. When they're all hanging out in their underground lair. Well, I mean, what did that look like to you? Was it almost like a bowling alley or something?
Alley.
Or,
I got to give props to give props to production designer Kazra Farahani, just nailing this. She did the production design of she was the art director, kind of stepping up to production design. So she was the art director of Captain Marvel and Black Panther, and the attention to detail is outstanding.
So great. Yeah, I mean, I've been championing this production design all this whole time, and it just doesn't let up. It's just so great. This episode is almost like it's a bit of a, not so much of a sharp left turn or something, but it does feel like almost like we're watching something different, just because this is taking place in the Void, which is basically kind of like what it seemed like is post-apocalyptic, a post-apocalyptic city, a city in ruins.
Right.
And these 4 Lokis, there's more eventually that we learn of. These 4 Lokis, have kind of made a living, underground, and just have figured out a way to survive, as Lokis do, but not escape as our Loki wants to. And so I just love the fact that they were, comfortable with where they were at, and they were engaging with this, Hiddleston Loki that they don't know what to do with. And I love the fact that our Loki is looking around at these people, and they're like, everywhere I turn. What was that one line when he opened up the top of the cover? He's like, the something like, does it ever end, or something like that.
This is a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. Yeah. It's great, man. And there's President Loki, and there's this. It's almost like there was this subplot that we didn't really even get a chance to develop. Is there's this almost like Loki war going on there, and there's double crossing, of course, because it's Loki, and it's just like, wait, slow down. I want to know more about this whole world that we're visiting here, but we don't have time for that. But yeah, I liked just seeing them all get to know each other and hang out, and even that moment where Sophie DiMartino as
Sylvie,
Sylvie, the Enchantress, when they're just hanging out.
Loki.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll let Don use that one, but. When they're just hanging out there, kind of like the calm before the big battle, and it's just her and Tom Hiddleston just kind of hanging out, and you have kind of like that lame Loki blanket. I was surprised by myself, just thinking like, I really like this, and as crazy sci-fi time twisty, this show is, it's like, that's the kind of stuff that I really like. It's just like two people kind of contemplating an area of their character that they're not used to. Vulnerability, possibly companionship, possibly thinking about somebody else and maybe offering them friendship or companionship. I thought that was just, great.
Well, and that's the other weird thing too, is that, we were kind of joking about this romantic storyline of, Loki falling in love with himself, the ultimate vanity. But, as much as these are two people, it's just one person experiencing themselves subjectively. And there's something really cool about that. And I think that is like when Loki was giving sharing the blanket with Sylvie, it's almost like he was cuddling up to himself, like learning to accept a part of himself that he had just never been able to quite reconcile. So I'm curious to find out where this goes, because this is Marvel and because there's sort of an idea that these are all variants and the timeline has to be cleaned up. I have a feeling that one, if not both of these characters are going to have to go. I don't know what Hiddleston's situation is, if this is sort of a Black Widow kind of a deal, like with Scarlett Johansson, where this is the big swan song, or if he's going to pop up somehow later in the Marvel universe. But I do definitely like where this is going. Let's see. Hold on. We've got, my gosh, the comments are rolling in. All right. So we have Will with
he's reminding me.
Kang's Tower. Wait. Okay. I'm missing this. What is that?
Kang's Tower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at in his previous one.
Yeah.
He mentions Kang's Tower spelled Kqeng.
All right.
So there's that Easter egg. Yeah, Kang could be in that tower at the end. Who knows? At the next episode, we might find out.
Okay, I got you. I thought it was like a background detail, like there was a tower in one of the burnt out cityscapes that said Kang. All right, so Sam Carrico, this episode was way better than the last couple have been. I loved Richard E. Grant and Alligator Loki. I did too. Now, here's the thing: how the hell do you take a gimmick like a CGI Alligator Loki with we're gonna cut to him during reactions and do that whole kind of like R2D2 thing where he's talking and only one character can understand him?
Right.
It's a tired bit, but it worked every time.
It's so weird because it's so odd. It's just, I mean, it could have been a Loki rooster for all I care. I mean, it's just.
Yeah. I mean, that's hilarious. That's a Disney motif there. Like they've been doing the wordless sidekick for the last 10 years or so. So, yeah.
I mean, considering how popular Frog Loki was in the 80s, and I know that there's an Easter egg and everything, I'm surprised that they didn't go that route. I'm kind of glad they didn't, because that would be probably harder to do. But just there's something about, like, I don't know, if you've ever noticed, like, the way an alligator typically, like, their sitting face. There's something just really funny about it, and sly and kind of conniving, and that's just perfect for Loki. Of course, he's reptilian and he's green,
Well, just because I have a feeling we're going to get into some sensitive stuff here, we're going to turn on the spoiler banner here, and then we're going to get back to the comments because they just won't stop. Nor do we want them to. All right, so both Loki and Sylvie are frost giants.
We're not bold.
They each wanted to make that move. Yeah, there's a correction. I will just kiss. Damn it.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't.
Me too. You don't need it.
But yeah, I'm not sure how that would work. Yeah. Now, let's just assume that my earlier theory is correct, and none of this is real, and Loki is just being observed by some giant, force that wants to keep him and the Tesseract from messing up the grand timeline. If Loki and Sylvie start making out, are we going to cut to a scene of just Tom Hiddleston, like, kind of like holding himself in a chamber?
The backward thing where you do the yeah. That's something for you too.
Right there. You're gonna stop the music abruptly, and you're just gonna see like this. What the devil?
I would be all in for that, by the way. And then the Avengers Tower in the Void says Kang instead of Stark. Look, I watched this thing on a laptop, and I don't have time to go scrubbing through stuff, but now I've got to. I'm totally sorry. I'm failing everybody.
This
But
is
that's
an
why I have
episode-
you guys here, you lovely, lovely folks.
But this is an episode where I would do the Screen
going
Crushes
back
thing.
and finding things
Yeah.
like
Totally.
this whole show. And that's just fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike,
The
Mike, what are
abuse.
your high level thoughts? We missed you on this roundtable here.
No, I just this show is just so much fun.
Mhm.
Like I don't think I've had this much fun with the show in a long time. Because just the production design, like Dave said, is just spectacular. It doesn't get lost in its own style, and the jokes work. Unlike Black Widow, like there were so many jokes in there. Where I'm like,
hold on.
Sunday.
Some
Yes.
people haven't seen that yet.
yeah, no. I'm just gonna. That's all I'm gonna say about Black Widow. That's all
Okay.
You're on the right track, though.
It's not a funny movie.
It's not funny. Why did Luke Skywalker throw the lightsaber away? That's different.
Teaching young girls to be assassins isn't funny.
Right. David Harbour's jokes are always good, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Making them infertile is not funny. Sorry.
Look,
Repping out uteruses.
the fact that David Harbour was able to
this, like, yeah, it's not funny.
the fact that David Harbour was able to show up in a comic book movie after that Hellboy disaster is a testament to the benevolence of the gods.
Not to mention when it came out, he like criticized Marvel and he said, "Oh, it's not like that Marvel stuff." And then Marvel called him up.
Hey.
And, I didn't say that.
Hey. He's leave him alone. He's no Steven Dorff.
What?
Oh, I got a Stephen Dorff story when we go off the air.
Stephen Dorff's story. Oh,
When
nice.
we go off the air, wow.
Yeah. Oh. Do we have a banner for that? A Dorff alert?
Wasn't that a Tim Conway character?
Okay, well, here's the thing. I can't speak to that because I have not seen Black Widow, but from what I've heard, there are some people who say that the movie ruined itself.
Correct.
Yeah. So, but that you don't count.
Oh,
Tom.
and
We've
here,
established that.
I'll give you a hint. She lives in the end, duh.
What?
It's over, yeah.
Let me guess. She's not
She
gonna
makes
die,
it.
but it turns out it's a mantle, like everything else in these days.
Yeah,
movies.
Black
Pretty much.
Panther.
Yeah.
Everything black is a mantle.
Correct. That's gonna get us through the censors.
Black
Yeah, I was
Knight, Black Knight, Black Widow, Black Panther, Black.
Look, okay, I
Black
agree.
Panther,
Hellboy
Black
ain't
Rat.
that bad, but whatever David Harbour was in a few years ago, that was not Hellboy.
I hope you're talking about the Ron Perlman Hellboy.
Yeah.
No, the
Yeah.
Howard production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so back to the comic book production at hand. And now I'm thinking there's that some kind of a Hellboy pun that I made subconsciously because of the hand of doom.
Speaking of hand, we had a Star Wars moment in this episode where a hand got eaten or chopped off.
Oh well,
Which- Which I think, yeah, that was just another lovely surprise. Kind of what you're talking about, David. You think that the episode is going to go off into this whole other direction with this Loki mutiny, and the President Loki was in all the early promotional materials. So, this is what this was building to. This is key. No, it was a great little bit of misdirection, and it was so fun, especially because that's when Thor Loki, like, he kind of disappears from the picture. When I woke up this morning, much like David, and Don, we were kind of talking about before he jumped on, David, you watched this, I think, before it even came out. Somehow you like went back in time to watch this show so you could rave about it. But everyone was talking about Richard E. Grant and how amazing he was. I saw like the phrase Emmy contender thrown about. And I'm like,
guest actor. I get it if he's on the list. But
after watching this episode for the 20 minutes of combined screen time that he's in it, I would not be upset if that were the case, because it's more than just an established actor showing up in a funny costume. When you find out his Loki origin story, it's incredibly strange, incredibly sad, and incredibly moving. And then when he disappears from the show and then he kind of comes back, he does this great sort of a Han Solo, Randy Quaid, Independence Day heroic end. I'm like, hell yeah, this is amazing. Like, why am I about to cry from watching a gag character that I've only been watching for 15 minutes?
And I think like Marvel's been doing this with the kind of with the TV shows, is that you're getting like old school Marvel fans a chance to see their version of the character they grew up with. So you saw Quicksilver dress up in the Halloween outfit, and of course Wanda and Vision dress up in the in the Halloween outfit as the original, costumes, and now you have this. Out of all the costumes, I would have never thought that the classic Loki outfit could be pulled off. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean,
there's a zipper
you think about it, it looks like it's kind of got like the Kermit the Frog kind of thing, the court jester type of collar, and it's just like that would not work in live action. Yeah. But here we are, and it does work. It's just this kind of like dirty kind of rundown costume, and it's not just his act. It is his acting, but it's almost the physicality of what he's doing too is so fantastic. Like what he does with the cape, these little things that he does. He's like pushing around the cape, he's like throwing around his cape, and it's just like an extension of who he is. And yeah, I mean, like you're saying, Ian, at that climax when he shows up at the end, when he's showing all these like ultimate Loki powers that we hadn't seen on the big screen, before. We hadn't seen Hiddleston do anything like that before. But those of us who, read the comics, I mean, okay, well, that's the Loki we grew up with, this like conjuring, crazy, powerful, laughing all the time and maniacal. And, it's just so great. I mean, seeing Richard E. Grant like this, and, when he was laughing towards the end, but also when he was laughing at Tom Hiddleston's plan, like, come on, we're gonna, and there's a little bit of silence, and they just busted a
complete with like kicking the legs up in the air. That's how out of control laughing they were.
Yeah. Shout out to costume designer Christine Wada, who's just nailing this show. She quite a step up. She's the highest profile thing she's done is like Bridesmaids, and I wouldn't call that much of a costume fiesta. So props to her.
Wow. It is really spectacular.
Ian McShane is awesome. I agree.
Now I have not watched
all the way.
I've watched exactly 15 minutes of Game of Thrones.
It's 15 minutes more than me.
Well, it was the Red Wedding episode, and it did not disappoint.
I just skipped to the highlights, like who died. Cool, because I know how it ends.
That's as far as like where this is going now. Apparently, if what Will is saying, QENG Kang is on Avengers Tower, is that a notorious Marvel TV Easter egg, kind of like with Quicksilver, where it's on the tower, but since this is just an alternate reality dumping ground, he's not really going to be on this show. He was in another alternate reality that we'll never see. Or do we think that this is going to be, maybe he is in that Oz-like land that they're approaching as they walk through the remnants of that portal dragon at the end?
I don't. Part of me,
I think he's coming.
I don't really care. I mean, a part of me is like, I don't care if Kang shows up next episode. What dawned on me at the end of this episode, and the fact that there's no stinger, was that this is, I've already talked about it in previous shows here, that this is different than the previous two Disney Plus shows, in that it's not leading into another movie.
Right.
Again, Wanda and Vision, Doctor Strange 2, Falcon, Winter Soldier, the next Captain America. This one, where could it go? I could totally see this going into a season 2.
And that's an interesting point, because these are variants. You could have them jumping around different realities. Maybe they're waiting to see when is Doctor Strange? That's Doctor
February,
Strange fall.
Next February.
Okay, so that's coming out. So that's coming out soon. I wonder if that's.
Eternals.
Well, I wonder if this is going to be. If they go with this it's the multiverse of madness. So if they test this out and it does well, maybe they're waiting to see. Well, if people are really into this multiverse thing, maybe we could have Loki season 2 just be them exploring all these crazy, almost like a what if series of alternate realities, which I'd be down for, given that, as we established earlier tonight, that seems to be the direction they're going. It's Easter eggs for the diehard fans. It's something cool and crazy for new people to jump on board and be like, what is this all about? But not in a dense, confusing, impenetrable kind of way. Sort of like the first episode of this series, where if you were not really invested in those first 2 Thor movies, you're kind of like, what happened to his mom? I'm confused. Okay, so we got another comment here.
The
Alioth, the Renslayer, are comic connected to Kang. Plus, there is lots of purple. Oh, that's good.
It's true. The signs are all there for sure.
What? Yeah, and where is Quantumania in the release schedule? Is that next year? Or is that going to be after?
So I think it's
next
20.
year.
I think it's 20.
There's a Wikipedia.
Might be 23.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but that's interesting because if this is setting up Kang, I wonder if they're trying to go with the Thanos approach, where
23.
until he shows up, because Thanos was hinted at.
Right.
Glimpsed very briefly throughout a whole bunch of these movies, wasn't even really a presence except for the diehards who were like, oh my God, that's the Gauntlet. Or, oh my God, he's turned to look at the camera and wink, but we're not really going to see him for another 8 years. If that's what they're doing here, that could be really, really interesting.
Yeah.
It seems like they will be doing that. They'll reveal like Kang in the end is the bad guy. I don't know. Certainly with a multiverse, one thing I hope they do, just because I'm a fan, is they take the Mandarin and really have a real Mandarin.
Thank you. Listen to the Cinephile History Fit podcast on Iron Man 3. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Indeed.
No, Ant-Man, by the way, February 2023. You're right. That's a long way away.
Yeah.
But not in terms of Marvel movies. That's only like what?
That's true.
4 or 5.
I mean,
7 movies away now.
I mean, the crazy thing is with Black Widow coming out theatrically this week, you're essentially going to have four Marvel theatrical releases between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Too many.
So wait, okay. All right.
You got Black Widow, you got Shang-Chi, you got Eternals, and Spider-Man.
When is Venom 2 coming out?
Wait, Spider-Man?
I don't consider that Marvel Studios.
No, but it's on that's 5 if you count that.
Yeah.
And 4 shows? 5 shows?
Well,
She-Hulk.
one more for sure with
Hawkeye?
Hawkeye. I don't know if She-Hulk's coming out this year. It might be early next year.
Well, that brings us.
Say it's oversaturated, but then they give us good stories, and then we're like,
if you're gonna oversaturate it, pour the champagne, right? Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I feel like there's. What did I say? No, it's almost like he read my mind of what I was about to talk about and was disagreeing with me.
Ted Bundy as his.
No, that's Joe Bob Briggs, dude.
Oh, that's right. We do got the real Mandarin.
Ted Bundy? What? Or Al Bundy?
The guy from Married with Children. Yeah.
Ed O'Neill?
Yeah.
Natasha
has to assassinate Ted Bundy.
That would be amazing.
We once upon a time in Marvelville, yeah.
So my point is,
yes,
these kinds of shows are the only thing keeping me interested in Marvel at this point, because notoriously, as I've discussed,
the show we're watching.
Oh, this one. Yeah, I don't care about the comics anymore. I just want to talk to you guys. But no, the Eternals, even Black Widow. I'm open to liking Black Widow, because how long is that thing? Is it 2 hours? Is it 2.5?
Yeah, 2 hours.
2 and change. Okay.
I don't like sitting through movies that I'm not excited about.
There's a segment in the middle you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah, it's.
Well, okay, but save it for Sunday. By the way,
Sunday.
I like that. You got to say it with a more panache. Sunday.
Monster trucks. Yeah.
But as a reminder for anyone who doesn't know, and I'll try and remember to bring this up at the end of the show, you don't have to wait another week to see us, Earth's Mightiest Critics, who I don't think I've actually introduced us as that for like this entire season. But yes, Earth's Mightiest Critics will be back this Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, talking about Black Widow, because it'll be its opening weekend. Give people a chance to go see it or watch it on Disney Plus if you're going to pay the $30 to see it, for the privilege of being able to watch it as many times as you want, which may just be once. But we're going to be talking about. We're going to spoil the hell out of it, and it's going to be fun.
So Disney's
oh my god! Wait a second. Wait. What's that?
Disney's charging $30 for like Black Widow, or 20-something for people.
For a family of 4, I get it.
Go to the theater.
We are recording.
Yeah.
I like this.
So
we'll have to do a time.
Ours should drop Saturday or Sunday.
Black Widow special.
Black Widow special.
Here's what we're going to do then. We're going to save everybody the hassle, and we're going to get in the live stream here. I'm just going to play the recording of the Cinephile.
Don't do that. No. Don't
play it over the microphone.
We're gonna do commentary about their show. How's that?
I would pay to see that. I'd pay extra. Yeah.
But no, so that's the thing is like these shows are what's keeping me interested because I don't really care about Eternals. I don't care that much about Spider-Man. No, Shang-Chi I don't care about at all.
But say that now. I don't know. I feel the same way like when Marvel came out with like Captain America and like all these guys in the beginning. I'm like, who cares about Captain America? Now everybody does. Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing though, Mike. Like that phase 1, aside from Iron Man, was really rough for me because I didn't care about Captain America: First Avenger. I didn't give a crap about Thor. Honestly, it wasn't until they got into phase 2 with a lot of these movies that I was like, kind of finally picking up the momentum because that's when you're getting Winter Soldier.
The origin stories are done.
Right.
Like now all the juicy stuff happens. Mm-hmm. Like once you get to Winter Soldier and Civil War, especially that shot where like Cap and Iron Man are fighting each other in one shot, they're just beating it.
And that's the kind of spirit and storytelling that is going on in the television series right now that has me far more interested. So I agree. I'm gonna go see all of these movies, right? Because I kind of have to, but I'm gonna be invested in the TV shows. Like that's and it's completely flipped from what I would have expected. Like the TV is just the kind of dumping ground. No, this is where you go. It's like the novelization of the movies, like where you get all the rich backstory. Okay. What am I blaspheming? I don't know, but I love the multiple exclamation marks and Venom 2. I ought to hit you. That should be the name of the movie.
Spoken in a Tom Hardy voice, mumbled and grumbled. I ought to hit you.
Now listen.
I ought to hit you. And he makes all
there it is. That's the Hardy.
I don't know if I've
cut together all the noises he makes in that movie. It's just great.
I don't know if I revealed this or not, or if we talked about it on this show or one of the other ones, but I, notoriously was a defender of the first Venom movie. Yes,
I remember that show.
This is an experiment to see if we can get all the way down to 0 viewers within a matter of seconds. but no, I saw the.
I'm just kidding.
Look, I saw the trailer for Venom 2. And apathy, complete apathy. I was like, at the end of Venom 1, I'm like, all right, they got the origin movie out of the way, as Don said. Let's see what they can do. Then apparently the answer is remake the first Venom, but with a lot extra crap and nonsense going on, and Woody Harrelson doing God knows what. It's just so bad. But again, I'll see it because I kind of got to. I'm obligated as a film critic and a masochist. Okay. Breathe. Okay. It's one.
Dude.
The lack of punctuation here.
I do like that one quite a bit.
I do too. Yeah.
Joe Johnston, man, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's my favorite.
I mean, the Rocketeer doing.
It's your favorite.
Remember, I'm a best versus favorite guy. It's my favorite. It's not the best one, but it's my favorite one.
Well, here's the thing. You've also lost me on the whole Joe Johnston Rocketeer thing. I've seen that movie, I think, twice in my life. I saw it once when it came out. I was 14. I was the prime audience for that movie. Bored in tears. Yep. I went back to watch it about 10 years later when I was a fully fledged adult. Again, I wanted to kill myself. So maybe I just need to go back and it's a beautiful trailer that just is packed with a lot of dull Indiana Jones rocket pack nonsense.
I can't speak on the head because I haven't seen it in
Alan Arkin as
how long since I was a kid.
Yeah, I get it. But then I watched Captain America. I'm like, I'm having flashbacks to the Rocketeer, which for a lot of people is a selling point, but it's not for me.
Yeah, Joe Johnston loves 1940s America, sort of. So.
I do too, but it's
talking Velociraptor.
Aesthetic does not make a movie.
Right.
Thank you. Bring that up when we do the Blade Runner 2049 Cinephile Hissy.
Oh no, Ian and I already talked
very
about
much.
it.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for atmosphere, I will admit.
I am to a point, but they can't save a movie for me.
Well, all of Blade Runner was kind of atmosphere. But
Agreed.
Leave my lonely Dave Bautista replicant alone.
His sad replicant.
Is he that lonely?
Wasn't that a Pink Floyd lyric?
Right.
Okay, well, all right. So, just messing around, you dudes rule. Thanks for putting up with my craziness and having a good sense of humor. It's been a rough week. Yes,
Glad you're back in action, man.
We understand that, and thank you for popping in here, Will. We really do appreciate it, and
We sure did.
I don't know if you were able to catch last week's episode, but yeah, we understand. But yeah, thanks for giving Don a hard time. It's what we don't have the guts to do, so someone has to step up and tell this clown what for. And then again, right back at it. I feel like there's a delay here, a purposeful one. That we have the God of Mischief rating our comments.
They keep pulling it back.
All right, just
Blade Runner slander.
this is. I feel like we're kind of like off topic here, but is there anything else we want to discuss about Loki episode 5? I feel like we're not going to fully be able to appreciate this until next week when we see how it all is resolved.
I mean, I'll ask this and like hedge the bets and play spoilers. I don't not play spoilers, but like, who makes it, who doesn't? I feel like Loki's going to make it. I feel like one of the Hiddleston Lokis, President Loki or active Loki, is going to make it because everybody loves Hiddleston. After that, man, I don't know. I think Ravana is going to make it because I think the TVA story is not done to tell. The guy who scares me is Mobius. Like, is Owen Wilson our heroic sacrifice guy? Come finale episode.
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
he's going to join Kat Dennings and I can't remember the name of the other agent, but
the guy from Fresh Out the Boat. Yeah,
Jimmy Woo or whatever.
Jimmy Woo.
I'd love to see the three of those, like Owen join that little crowd.
It's kind of like
show up.
3 agents from Twin Peaks getting together.
I would did that.
I don't know. I'm curious to find out where this all goes. I liked Owen Wilson in this episode. As I mentioned last week, it kind of sucks because I knew that, in Marvel, nobody's dead. I kind of hoped it was because it was a great send-off. In this episode, he gets another great send-off. It's a beautiful little hug because Loki calls him his friend, and he had established that he's never kind of had friends or loved. And then, Mobius kind of over the shoulder says, "You were always my favorite" to Sylvie. It's funny, it's touching, but now I feel like in episode 6, we're gonna have to say goodbye to him again. I don't want to have to say, just you've worn out your welcome. I hope that's not the case, but it may be, unless they save him for future adventures. Are they gonna get rid of Hiddleston and go with Sylvie? That would be a bit weird, and kind of. There is a term that's kind of thrown around for the next phase of Marvel, which is the MCU, which was sort of teased at the end of Endgame.
Oh, come on.
But no, listen, hear me out. If they replace Tom Hiddleston with Sylvie, you've got Loki. They're already bringing in Riri Williams as like Iron Man. They're doing She-Hulk. It's like they are just
Thor.
Natalie Portman Thor. It's like they
Captain
are just
Marvel.
like phase 4. The future is female. That whole thing. Not saying there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but I can also see that as being kind of annoying because it feels like they're going after a market rather than a story.
Well, I mean,
they're always doing that, though.
I hope it's not shoved down our throats. I have to say, I hope they don't just like gender swap everyone just to hit a market because I agree that doesn't engage me in a story.
It's like a weird form of
we have Kate Bishop Hawkeye too. We got all kind. Yeah, it is
right. They're sort of lining it all up, and I feel like I know a lot of these are canon to the comics. There are versions of these characters out there, but I almost wish it's sort of like this tokenization of characters. Marvel is full of a rich history of underused, female heroines that haven't gotten any time of, kind of spotlight. Introduce an entirely new team of people that we haven't seen before instead of just saying, hey, look, it's She-Thor.
Right. And we have the Black Widow prequel pity party. Like, oh, we didn't give this movie to her 6 years ago, so let's throw one in here now. Yes, shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm sorry, but with like Black Widow, Hawkeye, like when they were like trying to see who was going to sacrifice himself at the end of Endgame, it was just them going, no, the audience cares about me less. No, the audience cares about me less.
It felt like that. It totally felt like that.
All right.
I shoot arrows. What do you do? I'm super spy.
Right.
Okay, what do you do? I'm a super spy. Like, all right.
All right. So let's go back to some of these comments. They've already brought Vision back as White Vision, so I'd hate to see that again with Loki.
I want Loki gone too. I feel like he's going to make it, but I want him gone too.
Yeah.
I want closure. I want an ending.
Sajiwa dropping in for some of the Loki Convo jazz. I like that. That sounds like an album, Loki Convo jazz.
And I mean that, babe.
You play jazz flute, Ron Burgundy? Yeah.
You'll have to go back and watch the rest of this on the replay because we've talked a bit about Kang and had some speculation there. Episode 5 was as funny as it was. It was kind of sad, but not in that overly melancholy, like throw yourself off a cliff. It was more existential and kind of sweet.
Sweet's a good word.
Yeah. I already mentioned the Richard E. Grant thing, but yeah, there was something about just that hug between Mobius and Loki that they immediately undercut with a joke, but it was a damn fine little joke. So I'm I'm totally confused. I'm always a mess.
Yeah.
Let's see. How dare you, Mike? Hawkeye for life. Look, I understand because every time I see Jeremy Renner on screen as Hawkeye, I feel like I'm living out some kind of a life sentence. What was that weird golf swing joke he did in that Avengers movie? No way.
Totally agree.
Okay, will do. Thank you, Sajiwa. All right, so I think this might be one of our shorter episodes. Next week we might actually go kind of long because we'll be talking about episode 6, but probably also trying to keep or put the rest of the series in perspective and maybe even the other Marvel shows in perspective, depending on how this all shakes out. Because maybe Wanda shows up and she's the one who's been keeping Loki in a little bubble. He's in the back room of the cabin from the end of WandaVision. Yeah,
he's going to show up as one of her sitcom characters.
Oh, there you go. That's how they can keep him alive. Sadness came from seeing all Lokis at the end of time. Yes, very much. Well, here's the thing. There was also a bit of the imagination bomb, as I like to call it, where towards the beginning of the episode, when all the Lokis are kind of meeting each other and establishing, and Hiddleston says to Kid Loki, "So what was your Nexus event?" He said, "It's when I killed Thor." I'm like, oh, and they just kind of leave that there because when Hiddleston, the look on his face as he's following, there's part of him is like, I've been trying to do that in my entire life, but oh my God, you did it. Now, what does that, what does that mean? And what did that do to you? Because I can imagine what it would do to me if I actually accomplished it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, Thor is mentioned again, too, with when Richard E. Grant is kind of, recounting why he is where he's at. Is he was hiding, and when he revealed himself, one of the reasons why he couldn't hide any longer is because he realized he missed his brother, and then that's when the TVA found him. But so it is interesting because we saw that a little bit in Ragnarok and a little bit in Dark World, that they are the yin yang brothers. They need each other, and although they both get on each other's nerves. And that's very relatable, siblings. For the audience, it's very relatable to have siblings going at each other and driving each other nuts.
I want to ask before I forget, because it was impressive to me. I think I scrubbed back and watched it again. But the opening scene of this episode is kind of this really impressive upside down writing itself camera going through the TVA into that secret chamber of the timekeepers. We see the beheaded, animatronic doll. We end up in the void at the end of time. Is there any significance to the fact that the TVA seems to be going on as planned, of people just kind of bustling about as if they're doing clerical work, even though they have to know at some point that this big disaster has happened? Is that significant?
I don't know if they have to know.
Thing.
Because they could be oblivious to what all is going on. The rest of the workers in TVA.
But that's a dangling thing because, once Shaloki prunes, we're kind of done with Ravana, and you have to know she's rubbing her hands to figure something out on the other side. So yeah.
But I mean, the head of the TVA, or the acting head, is she's been in this chamber I understand it's kind of like a secret closed off thing, but did she not did she not sound any kind of alarm, or is she trying to keep this quiet? Like the deeper we get into this, the less I'm convinced that she is at the heart of this, and she is sort of just as confused as everybody else. There's a brief scene with B-15 who's being kept in this sort of like a red electrical closet. She's like, you need to find these folks just as much as, you know, they want to find them, although they need to find them. You just want to find them. I thought that was a cool distinction. And the more it sucks because we saw a lot of her character at the beginning of the show and I didn't care for her. And now that we're not seeing her that much, I like her even more. So I'm like, I want to see what she can, you know, how's she going to play back into all this? Is she going to be the hero sort of at the end of this story, because she's still back in the TVA where everyone else is sort of trapped in the void. Damn, there's so many places it can go.
6 hours we get one, you know.
Well played. Well, I played 18, shot 18. I can't seem to miss. That was the line.
Hawkeye reference.
Thank you for dragging it up. It was also delivered so perfectly. All right. I think we're going to wind this down, guys. Closing thoughts?
I will reiterate how I started. MVP, Richard E. Grant.
Yeah.
Did you draw that while we were talking?
Of course you did.
Yes.
Well, I was wondering why you weren't paying attention or contributing anything to this. No, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm not fishing for
closing thoughts. I said they went off the ramp. Let's see if they land the jump. Simple as that.
Cool. Yeah. And Mike,
I could say, as to your point, I liked this episode. Not to say I didn't like Black Widow, but this shows how I'm more invested in television stuff than some of the like movies and stuff like that. You know, like, do I care where Black? Not really. She's just kind of a background character, in my opinion. But you know,
it's almost unfair because, you know, with COVID and all this, and this has sort of been one of the talking points in the media about Black Widow and some of the lukewarm reception is people seem to have kind of moved on from a character. This movie should have come out years ago and not just in 2020, because the TV shows were sort of been like, okay, phase 4 or phase 3 is over. Phase 4 is just getting started. Here's all this awesome stuff. Now it's like, here's all this awesome stuff and an afterthought. But, you know, but I haven't seen the movie. Maybe I'll be knocked out by it, but, you know, we'll see. And we'll definitely find out.
And being knocked out by it. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome show, guys. Can't wait till next week. I'll be less disruptive next time. No. Well, okay. Yes. Don still sucks, but no, don't be disruptive. We welcome the engagement. Thank you very much. It's a lot of fun. And you keep us on our toes, but yeah, so we're going to leave it here. We'll come back. We'll be back on Sunday talking about Black Widow, and probably at this rate, we'll be talking about Loki for somehow. And then we'll be back next Wednesday, same 9:00 Central, talking about the season, possibly series finale of Loki. Yeah. Once again, I am Ian Simmons. This has been Loki's Midweek Mischief with Earth's Mightiest Critics. Once around, going around the virtual Zoom room, Mike Crowley of You'll Probably Agree, Don Shanahan of 25 Years Later, Every Movie Has a Lesson, and Cinephile Hissy Fit Podcast, David Fowley of Keeping It Real. Everybody jumping into the chat. We love all of you. Everybody's information is going to be down in the description below. So if you're not joining us and you're catching up with this later, please like, subscribe, follow everybody. It's a big party, and join us back next week live for the last episode. Thank you very much. And with that, we're going to end the broadcast. I'm going to do this right this time. I think we're ending the broadcast.